All right, this is a video I've been thinking about doing for a while, and I'm gonna say some pretty unbelievable things here, but you know, it's all a matter of perspective because the reality is these things aren't unbelievable to me, but I've lived a life that is nothing anywhere near a normal life, and had I lived a normal life, I probably wouldn't believe any of this stuff. But I've experienced enough out there to know that things are not the way we think they are. I mean, I'll try to explain it in this video. The main reason I'm making this video is for the people who really can't afford to go on my Patreon. That's who this video is for. So everyone's welcome to watch it, but this is for the people who are actually interested in trying to figure out what is going on out here, and the people who kind of know that things aren't really right or natural, or I don't know how to explain it. There's a lot I got to say. So another thing you need to realize is, now, these things are unbelievable, but I've got to say, unbelievable things happen every day in this society that to me are absolutely unbelievable. Now, in the big scheme of things, if you took, let's say you could somehow take every society that's ever existed on this planet and you could show them the society we live in, they would think that we are the most messed up, craziest, whacked out people that ever existed on this planet. They would think that they wouldn't believe it. They would not believe the society that we live in. It'd be shocking to them. If they tried to live in this society, they wouldn't be able to do it. They would consider this absolute slavery. The way that we live, compared to the way that every other society on this planet has lived, they'd be shocked. And they thought they were, oppressed. We are unbelievably oppressed. You don't realize it because you were born into it. So it's like a frog in boiling water, you know what I mean? I mentioned this in the last video. If you put a frog in water and you raise the heat slowly enough, next thing you know is he's sitting in boiling water and he's getting killed. He doesn't even realize it. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's out to kill us or anything like that, but now, there was another point I wanted to make right off the bat in this video. I guess we're 3 minutes in, so I'm safe to light a cigarette. What was my other... Hold on. Man, my Zippo is not acting right lately. I might have to buy another one. Okay, so here's the other thing I want to mention. So, what I'm saying, I believe is true. Does that mean it's the absolute truth? No. And am I telling you to just blindly believe it? No. I'm telling you, look into it for yourself. And if you really want the details, go on my Patreon. So, but what I'm not, look, things don't work in the way you think they do. So I'm not allowed to, it's called the law of free will. You have a right to know or not know whatever you want, and no one has a right to force you to think a certain way or to know certain things. So the first thing I want to say is, I'm not telling you this is the absolute truth. I'm telling you this is what I believe. This is the information I've stumbled into. If you think it might be true, look into it. If you think it's nonsense, turn off the video at any time. I'm not telling you to stop believing what you believe. I'm just telling you the information I've stumbled into, and the details are on Patreon. But I'm going to give you all the basic gist of it for the people who can't get on Patreon. Now, I'm not sure what I want to call this video. If it's how to escape the Matrix, because the reality is, I'm not sure you can escape it. I mean, I'm trying. I'm trying my best. I've sacrificed everything trying to escape this Matrix, but So here's the thing. The first thing you got to realize is that what is the Matrix? It's a system of control. It's, just like he says in the movie, there's, we're being sold this version of reality that is not real. So, here's the thing. You, we're all forced to work these jobs we don't want to work, and everyone thinks it's just totally normal. This is just the way things are. It's not. It's, under normal circumstances in a normal society, no one would be able to force you to work, or they have a right to take away everything you have and throw you out on the street. That's, that's how a conquered people exist. People who, let's say our village got taken over by another clan who beat us in war, that's how they'd treat us. They'd have us working, like slaves and keeping everything that we generate. So everyone, we're told from a young age, oh, you're free. You're free to do whatever you want. No, that's not true at all. If you don't do what you're forced to do, you're going to suffer some serious consequences, potentially jail, potentially even being whacked by authorities. You know what I mean? I'll give you an example. Let's say you go into debt and you don't pay it, and then they come to put you in jail over it. If you resist them, you're going to get whacked. So is that freedom? That's not freedom. And it's like, how do we all go into debt? You know what I'm saying? This whole thing is built to put you in debt. That's the whole point of this entire thing that we're in, is to put you in debt, to keep you working. And the reality is that you're not in debt. They're in debt to you, because we're all generating massive amounts of wealth and getting very little. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The country we live in is so rich in resources that you could grow food out of the ground for free. And yet to raise chickens, it doesn't cost anything. Meanwhile, you're paying literally 10, 20, 30 times what everything is worth. Now, all that surplus, it all gets funneled into one place. And those are the people who control the world. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is why I say we're in a matrix, because the whole thing is, it's fake. The people who you think are in control, the politicians, the celebrities, they are not in control. They are not even close. They answer to people above them, and most of them never even realize it, because the people who are actually in control are so much smarter and so much sharper and have such a deeper understanding of the way things go that they don't even interact with these people. They live almost in another world. If you want the details, go on my Patreon. So, and look, believe it, don't believe it, it doesn't make a difference to me. You can argue with me in the comments. I'll try to respond, and I'll try not to get angry and annoyed, because this is something where, in my opinion, what I'm talking about now deserves to be debated. Something like them telling us the ocean is 100 degrees, that doesn't even warrant debate. It's such a ridiculous claim. But anyways, I'm not going to get into that. But this is hard to believe. So we can debate this, And look, the last thing I'm trying to do is force my beliefs on you. It's called the law of free will, which is given to us by God. Realistically, what you don't realize is that you do not answer to any people. You do it by choice. You may not, it's a subconscious choice. Maybe you think, oh, if I don't, I'm going to do this and that. Realistically, the only entity in creation that you actually have to answer to is God, is the creator. And, the way things actually work are unbelievable, but it's by design, because they have to keep you in the dark, because if you actually understood how things work, you wouldn't be just being robbed of everything you earn. And, everything we're paying for, we're literally paying 10, 20, 30 times worth. We're paying way more than we should be paying for anything. The earth is rich enough in resources to provide us all with everything we'll ever need. And that is done by design. You know what I mean? Like this earth, and I'm not going to get into the climate change and all that, but let me tell you something. If it ever got to the point where the population was getting too big, which it seems like it is, the earth is going to naturally take care of that. The earth keeps itself in balance. The earth is like a super organism. It's go on my Patreon if you want the details. I'm not going into the details because the reality is most people aren't even ready to hear it. So it's not for everyone. Just, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything, but I can tell you this much. You know, nothing. Here's one of the main things that is being hidden from us. You are in control. Nothing happens to you without your consent. So, you know, unless you consent to something, it cannot happen to you. It's the law of free will. It's one of the main laws from God himself. So anything that happens to you happens from your consent. If you're out on the street and somebody's picking on you and slapping you around, it's because you're consenting to it. You're allowing that to happen. That's a choice. You don't have to let that happen. I don't let that happen. I'm not a big dude. I'm 5'8", 5'9", 150. I'm confident in my ability to defend myself, but I don't take no bullshit from nobody. I don't care how big they are, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. This is one of the main reasons, in my opinion, you need to keep a clear conscience, because once you do evil, in a way, you on a very deep subconscious level, you're going to expect it to be done back to you, so you're going to allow it. Once you kind of do evil, you're kind of giving the universe permission to do evil to you. So this is one of the reasons why I don't take no shit from nobody. I'm a stand-up dude. I do my best to make the world a better place. Now I got some bum on the street thinking he's going to disrespect me. I'm out here working hard trying to make the world better. This dude's out here acting like a piece of shit, robbing people, and he thinks I'm going to let him. Nah, bro. I'll happily fight that dude. You know what I mean? I'll take it as far as it's got to go. I'm not having it. You know what I mean? So that's why I say you've got to have it's important to have like a clear conscience, because most people, what they're afraid of, in my opinion, is that the wrongs that they've done are going to come back on them. That's what people are afraid of. So I'm going to try to make maybe a shorter video. I'm just trying to get the major points across here, and hopefully I'm making sense. But here's the thing. Now here's the really outlandish part. The people who you think control the world are a part of an organization. Some of them know it, some of them don't. I'll put it to you this way. The people who you think control the world, most of them have no idea how things actually work. So they're being used as pawns. It's complicated stuff. So, and really, I mean, on my Patreon is literally, we're up to like 20 something videos of me explaining the details of this. So I can't, in one video, there's only so much I can say. I'm trying to just get the major gist of it out there without sounding like too much of a conspiracy theorist nut job, because let me tell you something. A couple of years ago, I didn't know any of this. And then one day, I'm sitting there on YouTube, and I forget what video it was on, but one of the comments caught my attention, and it said, an elite member of an elite bloodline was on an internet forum answering questions. Here is their story. And it was a link to a book on Amazon called Elite Bloodline Family Member Asks Questions. I'll link the book in the comments if anyone wants to read it. So I got my hands on the book. and I read it. And I will tell you this, it was shocking. I believed it. Okay, now I'm not saying you should believe it. I'll try to link the book. I hope, because I forgot the title of it. But what's funny is this book led me down a friggin' rabbit hole, which is, the book that I'm talking about, I don't even bring this up on Patreon because it's shallow. It's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just scratching the surface of what I actually found out from it. So I read through it, and I could tell that this person answering these questions was not your average dumbbell. This was a very smart person, very sharp, very powerful in a lot of ways. He was basically, this person was saying they are a member of the Illuminati, which, now the Illuminati, it's not some club or a gang that you can join. You're either born into it or you're not. Nobody can join it. You have to be born into it. They're raised in a very different way than us. So, yeah, and the things, he doesn't even mention a lot of the really messed up things they do, but here's the whole point. So once I read that book, I read it twice, like back to back, because I was like, he was answering some very interesting things. And one of the questions was, they were like, aren't you afraid that the people are going to find out who you are or who you guys are and just take over? And he was like, no, I'm not afraid of anything in the material world. He was saying basically like, nothing in the material world scares me. Losing all the wealth, that doesn't scare me. He's like, that's like nothing to us. They don't, because they understand that the physical world is not the end all be all of existence. This is, the physical world is, it's not, in a lot of ways, it's an illusion. If you want the details, you got to go on my Patreon. So now this book led me to, so I started Googling on the internet trying to find more information on this. And then I stumbled into another one of these, except it's not in a book. I just found a PDF of it. And it's another member of the Illuminati, except this guy is high up. And he calls himself Hidden Hand. Now, you ever seen the pictures of the aristocracy, like Napoleon hiding his hand in his coat? Or you ever seen, there's a recent picture of Pope Francis with his hand in his robe? Hidden hands rule the world. So, now, to be totally honest, I don't think Napoleon or the Pope were very high up. But they do actually probably understand what's actually going on out there. Now, here's the other thing you got to realize. The hidden hands, the ones who are very high up, I'm not talking about the celebrities and the politicians, or, we've heard of the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and they're all very low in this organization. The people who are high up, they're not doing it because they want money and fame. That's why the lower parts are doing it. It's, the lower parts that we've heard of, the celebrities, the politicians, the uber rich, they're not even a part of the Illuminati. They're assets being used. The actual higher, and even the lower parts of the Illuminati don't know the big picture. Someone escaped from the Illuminati. Her name is Svali, S-V-A-L-I. You can Google her. If you read her stories and interviews, you're like, this is nonsense, this is bullshit, this and that. I never even heard of Svali, but at one point they asked Hidden Hand, is Svali real? And he said, yeah, she's real. And they were like, well, she's saying a lot of bad things, she's making y'all look real bad. And he's like, yeah, I don't pay no mind. He's like, he's like, she's so low in the family that she doesn't know anything. He's like, I didn't really pay much attention to it, but yeah, she was a very low-ranking member in the family. So then I looked into Savali's information. I was like, wow, that they do some really messed up shit. But here's the thing that you got to realize: the higher ups in this organization, what they're doing is, they're, like I said, they're not just trying to get money and power. They're so wealthy. They've been in control for so long that wealth Their wealth is inexhaustible. They've been accumulating wealth for thousands of years. So wealth, it's so far beyond that. What they're doing is they're creating a negative polarity on Earth. This is their job. This is why they're here. It's all a part of God's will. People think like, oh, the devil is, so powerful and he's fighting with God. If there's a devil, God created him. There's no fighting with God. God created everything. And it's not even like that. God, like the actual God, the actual creator, he's not some entity that he's some invisible guy in the sky who wants to be worshipped. No, he's just the one who created this whole thing. So he doesn't want your worship. The reality is that we are all a part of the creator. The creator, here's where God comes from. Before there was anything, there was intelligent infinity, which is a concept pretty much beyond what we can understand. Once intelligent infinity became aware of itself, the creator was born. The creator, in an attempt to understand himself and where he comes from, created the entire creation. If you want the details, go on my Patreon. I know it sounds crazy, and to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm even going to put this video out because I'm not sure I want to hear it. And here's the other thing. I like having a leg up on everyone else and having an understanding of how things go. And a lot of the things I see out there in the world, I just look at people like, you have no idea, bro. And here's the thing. This organization, the upper parts of it, the people who hold the true power, they're not doing it for selfish reasons. They're doing it because Earth needed a negative polarity. Because without a negative polarity, there's spiritual evolution happens so slowly here that it was almost like we were living in a prison. So that's why Earth needs a negative polarity. So they are creating the negative polarity so that people have a choice between good and evil. Because once you have that choice, that's when the real spiritual evolution begins. That's when the real learning happens. So you can believe me, don't believe me. I'm not even saying, I'm not telling you to believe it. I'm telling you to look into it. So if you can look on my Patreon if you want, or you can look into it yourself. Look for hidden hand dialogue. Look for, look for an insider. The elite bloodline insider. Look for terms like this, and you'll find it for yourself. What I do on Patreon is I go over this information in detail, because the reality is if you don't know anything about it, it's kind of hard to understand it. I think most people, if they stumbled into the hidden hand dialogue, they wouldn't get through the first two videos because it's hard to understand the things he's saying. So what I do on Patreon is I explain it as we go through the videos, and as we go through it, I pause it and I explain what he's saying, because once I stumbled into this stuff, I started paying a lot of attention to it, and I started looking for a lot more information, and the rabbit hole goes deep, bro. It's led me back to ancient Egypt, and, there's a book called the Kybalion, and all this shit. They've led me to some very deep, interesting knowledge. So here's the thing. Most of the things that you think matter in this world do not matter. The only real enemy is within. The enemy is the part of you that is willing to lie, it's willing to cheat, it's willing to steal, it's willing to do evil to get ahead. That's the real enemy. So the main thing here that you need to realize, and I guess in a way this is kind of how you escape the matrix, you need to realize that what really, really matters is that you do not let this world turn you into something that you are not. Unless you want to polarize negative. I'm trying to polarize on the positive end of the spectrum. Look, but here's the thing. And you can polarize negative or you can polarize positive. The world ended in 2012. There was a harvest. So, at the harvest, it was December 21st, 2012. Everyone who, the people who were polarizing positive evolved to fourth density positive. The people who were polarizing negative evolved to fourth density negative. And the people who were in between evolved to another version of third density Earth. Now, you can believe me, you can think I'm crazy, you can think what you want. But, and most of you are probably going to think this is absolute insanity. But you've got to realize that you're witnessing insanity on a daily basis. The world you live in, the society you live in, is absolutely upside down, insane. Things that happen on a regular basis. I mean, look at the people who are in control. I saw a video the other day of Mitch McConnell standing there at a podium. He could barely hold himself up. I mean, it looked like he was wearing a diaper and he just shit his pants and he wasn't sure if he should, Then you got Biden who, you're telling me that these are our leaders. This is the best the world has to offer. That, you know what I'm saying? Everything is upside down and insane. The reason they're in charge is because they're willing to basically sell their souls to the devil. So they're going to pay for it. They're going to, when all is said and done, all the evil that they've done is going to come back on them. Karma is very real. There's no escaping karma. I don't care. Karmic debts will be paid in this lifetime or the next one or the one after that, or, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, hopefully I've explained some of what's going on here. But here's the thing: for the people who are out there who are depressed and they feel like there's no escape and this and that, what you got to realize is this whole thing is a school to teach us. We chose to come here, and we were well aware of that. We were incarnating into a rough place under rough circumstances. So what the main thing is, you cannot, if you're trying to polarize positive, you can't let them turn you evil. Now, we polarized positive, I believe. So if you're seeing this, I believe you made it to fourth density positive. I don't know for sure. But because, to be honest, I'm not sure exactly how it works. I'm still trying to learn about it. But this is what I do on Patreon. So this is for the people who can't afford to get on the Patreon. My whole point here is, don't let this world upset you too much, because it's just a school. And anything that happens to you in this world is not permanent. What matters is how you react to it. You cannot let it turn you bitter. You cannot let it turn you nasty. This whole political paradigm, the left and right, it's a big illusion it's in place to keep us at each other's throats. And here's the thing, I fall for it too. My last video, it makes me angry. You know why it makes me angry? Because the people in control of this world, I'm not talking about the people way high up who are really in control. The people who are doing all the damage, the celebrities, the politicians, they're dumb, they're weak, and they're dimwits. They're easy to defeat. They're nothing. What bothers me is that we let them manipulate us into, wasting all our energy fighting each other when they could be easily dealt with. You know what I mean? And I don't even mean violently. We don't have to play their stupid games. You know what I mean? Like here's the thing. They have no authority. The only authority they have is what we willingly give them. And we're willingly giving it all to them. You know what I'm saying? So, for the people who are struggling, just know what really matters is that you be the best version of yourself. I don't care what happens to you in the world. Hard things are going to happen. The whole place is nothing but a school. We're learning harsh lessons here. So just remember, what really matters is that you be a good person. Now, that doesn't mean you need to virtue signal and figure out like, oh, everyone's allowed to just do everything because I'm a good person. Like, no, what it means is you can't let it turn you bitter. You can't let it, deep down, right from wrong. You know what I mean? Everyone does. So, and here's the other thing, you're looking for your purpose in this world. Nobody can tell you what your purpose is, but you, deep down in the deepest part of your heart, you know exactly what you have to do to get where you want to be. It's that simple. So, how do you figure out your purpose? Try to meditate. What is meditation? It means basically that you get control of your mind, which is constantly going. You just get your mind to stop going all the time, and you just let, you get down to your most natural state, which is not a part, you're not worried about the physical world. And personally, I'm not even that into meditation. I don't need it. I'm pretty at peace with the world I'm in and the world and my position in it, and I'm at peace. I understand what really matters, and what really matters is that no matter what happens to me, I don't let it, I am me. I don't let it turn me into something I'm not. That's what matters to me. So hopefully this video makes sense. Of course, it's another half-hour video. I could go on for hours about this subject, and everyone is not meant to hear this information, and this information is not for everyone. So if you want the details, go on my Patreon. If you think I'm completely out of my mind and this is absolute nonsense, you could be right. It's possible. So I'm not saying that I am the arbiter of truth and I know everything and you know nothing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you the information I've stumbled into, which explains this world in a way that actually makes sense to me. On a religious level, philosophical level, scientific level, I mean, everything they say is backed by quantum physics. So, I guess that's about it for this video. Hopefully, I don't sound like too much of a nut job, but the truth is, it doesn't matter because this whole friggin' society is completely out of its mind. So, the lunatics are running the asylum here. So it really, acceptance from a lunatic society is not a priority of mine. What matters to me is that I got God with me, and I do got God with me. God is as loyal to me as I am to God. And, you would have to live my life to understand what I'm saying there. But, anyways, I guess that's the end of this video. If you got any questions, throw them in the comments. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And if you want details, go on my Patreon. Links in the description. But here's the thing. The reason I made this video is for the people who can't afford the Patreon, so that you can have some understanding, so that you can realize that maybe you're not doing well materially, but as long as you stay true to yourself and you stay true to God, and I don't care what religion you are, the Creator is the Creator. He created it all. There's one God, and we are all a part of that God. We are individuated aspects of God. Technically, we are God. If you go back far enough in time, and I'm talking billions and billions of years, we all used to be a part of God. Now, if you go far enough into the future, we are going to merge back with God. In the very distant future, at some point, everything in the universe is going to merge back together. And then what's going to happen? A new universe is going to be born. The universe is constantly expanding and contracting. It's a cycle. Everything is cyclical. There's no beginning, there's no end. So don't worry about nothing. God's looking out for you as long as you are being true to yourself. Now, the people who want to polarize negative, that's their business. Their goal is not the same as the people who are trying to polarize positive. If you want to understand it, Just Google the term left-hand path. That's the negative polarization. Right-hand path is the positive polarization. This is occult knowledge. This is the people. There's a reason the Nazis were using all this occult symbolism. There's a reason that all the people who want to be powerful in this world, you see the celebrities having, you know, they have their own little occult rituals and stuff. It's you think it's crazy, but here's the reality. You have no power in this world, but guess who does? The people who have the occult knowledge. So think what you want, believe what you want. I'm not saying what I'm saying is true. I'm not saying you're forced to believe it. What I'm saying is open your mind and look into it if you want to. So I guess that's the end of this video. I appreciate every single one of you. Feel free to argue with me in the comments, except there's a couple of people that really get on my nerves, bro. And it's because they're always threatening, like, I'm unsubscribing now, and then I see them on the next video, like, talking shit, bro. Like, look, if you want to argue with me, argue with me. If you want to insult me, insult me. I don't, you know, but don't be shocked if I insult you back. You know what I mean? Anyways, so that's the end of this video, I suppose. Appreciate every single one of you. Everybody have a good one, and I'll see y'all on the next one. This is probably the only video I'm making on this subject, because this subject is for my Patreon. This subject is not for my YouTube, unless maybe at some point in the future I'll make another YouTube. I don't know. But if I do make another YouTube, I kind of want to make it just 10-minute videos, not on that. The occult stuff is probably staying on my Patreon because it's not for everyone, and you know, I don't know, who knows. Anyways, everybody have a good one. I'll see y'all. Oh, the next Patreon video is going up later today, so I'll see y'all on the next one, and everybody have a good one. Appreciate every single one of you.